Well, okay, this is Realtor Fred with the Realtor Fred podcast, and I'm coming to you live from the NACA headquarters in Hawthorne, and we're going to be talking with Cameron Stearns, who is the office manager and for Southern California for the NACA program. And this program I wanted to share with everyone is an awesome program to get people into a home with no money down. Credit is not an issue, no mortgage insurance, no balloon payment. And they actually help you with the process with getting into your home. You don't have to be a first-time home buyer. You just have to make sure that your name is not on another property. What I enjoy about this program is that you can not only purchase a single family, but you can also purchase a duplex, a triplex, and a fourplex. And it's just an awesome system. Again, this is Realtor Fred with Keller Williams Realty, and I want to share this with you so that you can get out there and get you a home. So with no further ado, I want to introduce you to Cameron Stearns, who is going to share with us about the program. And as he shares with us about the program, you can comment on the link below and we'll get back with you. We're looking forward to seeing you on the other side. Well, hello there, Cameron. How are you?
Hello, Fred. Good to be here.
Glad to have you with us. So tell me a little bit about the program that we're actually talking about on today.
Okay, so we're talking about the NACA program. It helps people purchase a home with really the best mortgage in America. I've been doing lending and real estate for about 15 years, and I can guarantee you there's no other program out there like it. I would encourage anyone to compare our program side by side with any other lender's program. And when they do, they really see that there's no comparison. There's no down payment, no closing costs, no mortgage insurance. They don't need perfect credit. The benefits are amazing. And they help open up the ability for people to purchase a home that would traditionally be excluded from the mortgage process because they don't meet standard underwriting guidelines like for FHA or Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. So it's really exciting. It's an opportunity. And then people that even have great credit often come to our program because they can see the benefits. And I always, when I do large workshops, I will have people pull out a calculator and just add up the savings, because I think when you start to quantify the amount of money that people will save over the life of a NACA mortgage compared to a traditional lending, it's really phenomenal. If you don't have to pay mortgage insurance, that can be $300 a month over the course of a mortgage. 300 times 12 times 30 years can be $100,000 that they're not spending. The interest rate is generally below what somebody would pay for a standard mortgage. Our interest rate today on the Citibank, we use Citibank here as our lending partner, is 3% fixed. And if they went to a traditional lender without perfect credit, they might be paying 4.5%. Their payments might be an extra $500 or $600 a month. Over 30 years, that's going to add up to an extra couple $100,000. So we're really talking about saving $300,000 to $400,000 potentially over the life of a 30-year mortgage. And these are real dollars that people don't have to spend on a mortgage if they come to NACA, that they would spend on a mortgage elsewhere. That's money that they can use to send a child to college, to pay off their home early, to buy a second home, really to enhance their life and build wealth. That's really what we're talking about. Building wealth is traditionally done in this country through home ownership and property ownership. And that's really what we're talking about, is the ability for people to build wealth for themselves and future generations.
So with this program, you don't necessarily have to buy a property that is already rehabbed. You can buy a property that needs rehab, correct?
Correct, and that's a good point. One of the other features of our program is that people can purchase a home that's in very poor condition, might be a foreclosure, maybe even an abandoned home, and they can rehab that property and finance those rehab repairs into the mortgage, so they don't have to pay out-of-pocket costs for them, which means they can compete with investors, which is really nice. Normally, those properties would be only available to a cash buyer because traditional lenders won't lend to somebody on a property that is not in livable condition when they close escrow. Our program absolutely will do that.
Okay, and so with this program, there are no boundaries to the purchase on where you purchase, correct?
Correct. There are no boundaries. You can purchase anywhere, in proximity to one of our 40 offices nationwide. here in Southern California, we do have some limits pertaining to the regional limit, but we're talking about sort of expanding that as well, a little bit, changing that dynamic. But yes, generally speaking, there's no income limits. There's no limits geographically here.
Oh, okay. And what about the price limits as far as the cap on single family, duplex, triplex, and fourplex?
Okay, so most people through our program purchase a single family or a condo. We can go up to $400,000 for the purchase price of those properties, up to $697,000 for 4 units, and 2 and 3 units are somewhere in between. As I mentioned, we've just come out with a new program that will enable people that make less than 80% of the median income for the neighborhood they're purchasing in to actually purchase above those limits, as long as the property is still affordable to them. They have to meet our standard housing and debt ratios, because affordability is probably one of the most important features of our mortgage. We want to make sure that people are not putting themselves into a mortgage payment that they can't afford over the long term.
Okay, so they also can purchase new build under construction properties, correct?
That's correct. We're working with a lot of builders. A lot of our members have purchased homes by Party Homes, D.R. Horton. We have a number of people buying homes with numerous other builders here in Southern California.
Okay, so tell me about the financing as far as there is something that we call the buy down, so they can buy down their interest rate. Tell us a little bit about how a buyer would buy down their interest rate.
That's a great question. So one of the other really exciting features of the NACA mortgage is that people have the ability to purchase their interest rate down substantially in order to make the property or the payment more affordable to them. So for example, if they were going to buy a $300,000 home, 1% of that mortgage amount would be $3,000. Would take them from 3% down to 2 3/4% fixed for 30 years. Mm-hmm. So 1% of the loan amount buys you down 1/4 of a point, and they can buy it down by 6.5 points.
Mm-hmm. Now, people will say that this is too good to be true. And they say anything that's too good to be true is really too good to be true. So what is the one thing you would say would get you to let people know that it's not really too good to be true, that it is an actual program?
Well, we hear that a lot. I mean, it sounds too good to be true. The fact is, we've closed tens of thousands of mortgages for people under this program. And we do it every day. We have closings every day here in the NACA office. We just opened our new Upland office, so we're excited about that as well. NACA's been around for about 25 years. So it has been in effect for a long time. It's not a new program. It's a very exciting program, but a lot of people haven't heard about it. So when people say, well, it sounds too good to be true, a little bit of background on that is that Citibank and Bank of America work with our program to help meet their requirements under the Community Reinvestment Act that was passed by Congress in 1977. So the truth is that Citibank and Bank of America don't make a lot of money on the loans that they do for our members through our program, but they're complying with federal law, so they're actually meeting their compliance requirement. So there's a reason why they do this. It sounds too good to be true, but they're being compelled by federal law to comply with the CRA.
Oh, okay.
And we help them take advantage of that.
Okay, great. So you do your workshops every weekend, correct?
We do 2 English and 1 Spanish workshops here in Southern California every month. We might be expanding that when we start to do workshops out of the Upland office, but currently it's 2 English and 1 Spanish per month.
Okay, and we are working for Realtor Fred clients. We are working on a workshop that is going to be done in the evening if we get enough people to join in. Currently, the workshops are only done on Saturdays from 10 to 2, but we're working hand in hand with NACA so that we can do an evening workshop. And so I want you to hit me up. You have my information, 888-210-5910, or my direct number is 424-294-8188, and my email is fhoward@kw.com. This is a program that either you can use or you know someone that can use this program. I was talking with a client when at one of the workshops. She was paying $730 for her rent before she went into the program, and she bought a 4 unit, and now she's upwards of $450 in the positive. Is that a rare occurrence, or is that something that you can see all the time?
Well, one of the probably the best features of our mortgage is people that have the ability to purchase up to 4 units. People that want to buy units and own or occupy one of those units are actually using the income of the tenants to pay off their mortgage at a quicker pace. So we do see that type of benefit a lot, where somebody is paying a higher rent than their future mortgage payment is when after they've collected all those rent payments. So one thing we haven't mentioned is we also have a 15-year mortgage. We have the 30 and the 15-year. The 15-year mortgage is what we call our wealth builder mortgage, and you can actually own your property outright in 15 years. The starting interest rate is about 0.75% lower than the 30-year mortgage. So right now it'd be about 2.25% starting. And the buy down is double on the 15-year mortgage. So if they buy down their interest rate, 1% of the loan amount would buy them down a full 0.5 point.
Wow.
So that's really exciting, especially people that are looking to buy multifamily properties, because they've got all the additional income from those other units to pay off their mortgage.
Wow, that's awesome. All these new things coming up, and not even new. There are just so many things that are grafted in the program that it just takes so much time to find out about it. Well, I'm going to just let you all know that NACA's not going anywhere. We're going to keep getting buyers in their home, and why don't you be that one? I want to just ask one question about credit. Credit. Everyone says, I can't buy a home because I don't have credit and I don't have money. Well, we already addressed the issue about no money down. Now, just so that people will know, they do have to save. It doesn't mean that they can come in with no money and buy with no money. They do have to show a pattern of savings. And the one thing that I tell my clients, the good thing about NACA is you have a built-in financial counselor, and they actually show you how to save money. On the other end of that, when they say, okay, I have the money, but my credit is not good. Tell us something about the credit. How low can your credit be?
Okay, so first of all, NACA is we're the largest HUD certified counseling agency in the country, housing counseling agency. So if somebody comes to us completely unready for home ownership, we will take them from that point all the way to being fully ready for home ownership. Part of that might be the budget counseling to help them save money, to really look deep into their budget, seeing where their money is going, why they're spending, or where they're spending it, and really have them take a hard look at that and really help them identify areas where they can start to save money. Because we live in a consumer society where really we're taught to spend money. We're never really taught in order to manage our money correctly or save money. So when we can help redirect that, there's surprising ways you can find to save money that you really thought you couldn't. So number one, we really help with that savings pattern. Number two, it's no money down, but you do have to have some money in order to purchase a home through our program. Standard lending is 20% down. FHA requires 3.5% down plus all of your closing costs, which would be tens of thousands of dollars. With our program, you can buy a property with about $2,200 for every $100,000 you want to borrow. Now, some of that money will stay in your bank account after the close of escrow. That money is what we call reserve funds. We don't want you to deplete your bank account down to zero after you close on the purchase of your home, because you still have to pay gas, buy food, all the things that you need to do. So part of that money will stay in your bank account as reserve funds, and some of it goes toward what we call property acquisition costs, things that are associated with you purchasing the property that are not related to the mortgage. Things like homeowners insurance, prepaid property taxes, those types of expenses, the earnest money deposit, or the home inspection. Those things are related to the property but not the mortgage. So that's accounted for in about that $2,200 for every $100,000 you want to borrow. Now, getting back down to the credit question, you don't have to have perfect credit. As a matter of fact, we don't even look at the credit score. So some people come to our program that have very poor credit, very challenged credit. They might have gone through a bankruptcy or other issues related to not being able to pay their bills. And we can work with that. We don't, like I said, the credit score is completely not relevant to our program. It's not one of the guidelines. But we do fully underwrite the file before they shop for a house, which means we make sure that they are ready for home ownership. They're paying their bills on time. They're managing their money correctly, and they have stable income.
So a NACA buyer is more qualified than any other buyer that's out there right now, correct?
That's correct. Because since we're a HUD certified counseling agency, while we're counseling people to be ready for home ownership, we're pre-underwriting them to Citibank's guidelines before they ever shop for a house. No other lender can do that because it's time consuming. But because we're a HUD certified counseling agency, we're pre-underwriting them at the same time we're preparing them for home ownership. So by the time they do start shopping for that house, they're the strongest buyer for any property they make an offer for. No other buyer can say that, whether they've got 20% down or they're going FHA, because they're not fully pre-underwritten in the same way that the NACA buyers are.
Now this is for the sellers. So what does NACA do for the sellers when the buyer makes an offer on their property?
Okay, so if a buyer makes an offer on a property that the seller wants to sell, one of the benefits is that we can get Citibank to pick up the seller's escrow and title fees, which can save them thousands of dollars in the transaction. So that you won't find in any other type of transaction. So that's a really big benefit. That means the bottom line to the sellers, they're going to end up with more money at the close of escrow. So that's a big savings right there.
So let me repeat that. The buyer is going to pay for the seller's escrow and title fees.
Correct. And when we say the buyer, we mean Citibank in this case, because Citibank will be picking up that cost for the buyer and the seller as part of their agreement with NACA.
All right. Wow.
Yeah, so that's a big benefit. That's in addition to the fact that they know they're working with a buyer that's fully pre-underwritten. No other buyer is going to meet those types of guidelines because, like I said, it's too time consuming for a traditional lender to underwrite a buyer before they shop for a house.
And so the only two requirements really toward the close of escrow is one, that you have to live in the property through the length of the loan.
That's correct.
And you have to use a NACA qualified escrow company.
That's correct.
Okay. And so even though on most traditional sales, the seller gets to choose the services, well, when a NACA buyer comes in, they're asking and they're saying that they need to close with their particular escrow and to close in their office, like the days of old when we used to come into the office to sign the documents.
That's right.
Correct?
That's correct. And one of the reasons we want the NACA buyer to come into our office is because the loan officer is here. In case they have questions related to the loan documents, they can be answered on the spot so that they're fully informed about the documents that they're signing. So it's really a good situation all the way around. We're really big on educating the home buyer through the process, the budget counseling, making sure they're ready for home ownership. Even after they purchase their home, we have a post-close purchase assistance. If they ever get into trouble, our membership assistance program will help them make their mortgage payment to get out of trouble. In traditional lending, they would be paying mortgage insurance would give the lender an incentive to foreclose if they weren't making that mortgage payment. Through our program, there's a disincentive, and we work to help keep people in their homes as opposed to trying to foreclose on them.
Okay. So one last question before we go, and this is actually for the realtors, because I know way back when the realtors had a distaste of NACA because of the hand department. And now recently NACA has made some upgrades in that program so that now that is really not an issue. Can you kind of talk about that?
Absolutely. The hand department is NACA's rehab team. They're the team that reviews the home inspection reports. Termite report will come up with a required repair list and actually help the members go through the rehab process. Even after the close of escrow, they stay engaged and work with the contractors to make sure the work is done correctly, and then the funds are distributed as the work is completed and re-inspected. So the hand department stays highly engaged, and it's really a protection for the buyer to make sure that if they've never done the rehab work before, that they work properly with that contractor, and the contractor doesn't just run off and take all the money, and the work is done per code and done correctly. So most people have never done any construction work in their life, and especially if they're a first-time buyer, they don't really know anything about it. So having the hand department on their team is a big benefit. One of the criticisms was that it was time-consuming, it would slow down a transaction, but we've really streamlined that process significantly. When I came to NACA over 4 years ago, it was taking about 4.5 months to close an escrow. We're routinely doing that in about 40 or 45 days now.
Awesome.
So we sped up the entire process. And if, like I said, if people are criticizing our program, they probably are looking at way this process used to be years ago. We've put a lot of time and effort into streamlining the process and speeding it up.
That's awesome. And I even noticed that when I close some of my clients, that now it is more streamlined. We can get the deals closed in a timely manner, and it's really just like a regular purchase. And so that is the awesome thing about it. So I'm going to close this Google Hangout. I want to talk with all of you that are out there. If you have any questions in regards to this program, please go ahead and give me a call at 888-210-5910 or 424-294-8188. My email is fhoward@kw.com, and we're out here to get these potential homeowners in their home. Remember, not only a single family residence, but you can purchase a duplex, a triplex, and a quad. And so it makes sense for it to make sense. So I'm urging you to get out there and contact me to let me know whether or not you're interested, and let's get you in the house. I want to thank Cameron for coming and joining us in this broadcast, and hopefully we'll do another one real soon. We're going to make sure we do this on a regular basis so that we can answer the questions that need to be answered. This is Realtor Fred signing off, and we're hoping to see you on the other side. You all take care, and I'll help you get into your home, because the first one moving when it comes to real estate ought to be your realtor. Signing off, this is Realtor Fred.